Joe？
我们可以开始了，这个。
OK，
谢谢。
好，谢谢。
Our last speaker for this morning section is Mr. Ivan Tu. He is the manager of MySQL Greater China and Korea Solution Engineering Team. His team is promoting MySQL technology and helps enterprise users to apply MySQL. He also hosts Taiwan MySQL user group, which is a very active community with more than 3,100 members. Mr. Tu will share his views towards the security challenges for modern databases and the out-of-box security features that we can get from MySQL to deal with those challenges. Mr. Tu, please.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ivan Du. In Mandarin, is Du Xiuwen. I'm so happy to be able to join Hong Kong Open Source Conference and to share you about the latest security feature from MySQL. This is a safe harbor statement also, just for your reference. As we know that for most of the cases, security should be the first priority whenever we're rolling out an applications. Based on the survey done by IDG last year, I think almost all the CIO feel that they will invest the highest priority that they are going to invest is the security. So we can say that security has been the mandatory requirement for all the application systems, not only for protect our data asset, protect our information asset, but also it is mandatory by many regulations like GDPR, like HIPAA, or Sarbanes-Oxley. So without security, probably we cannot do anything. From my point of view, we protect our data with the following 6 aspects. First one is we want to know who you are. If you are the person that you proclaim it is, we use authentication features to authenticate against the user. Once the user be able to pass the authentication process, we should know that what kind of authority or what kind of privilege you are going to have with the database or with the data. And for some sensitive data, we need to protect them by encryption. That means if you don't have the right key and you don't have the right method, you cannot see those data. Those data all show problem. And nowadays for cyber attack, we have actually experienced many cyber attack, and some cyber attack cause a huge issue, cause a lot of loss for some of important for some of our huge large organization. So we also offer firewall inside the MySQL database, which will check the SQL statement to see that if it is the statement is legal, if the statement should be able to access the data. And for some powerful user, sometimes we need to concern that if they have done something that we didn't aware of, because they are too powerful, they have so many privileges. Probably need to have some kind of a control over them. So we offer auditing plugin that us to be able to trace the process or the operations or the access of the data that those kind of super users have been done. And we also offer data masking or de-identification plugins in the MySQL database. Let us be able to invite third party to work against our database, but we still be able to obfuscate those data, to hide those some kind of sensitive data to those outsiders. So we basically we offer those security features in this from this 6 aspect. This page shows a very comprehensive secure feature from MySQL. So I can tell you that if you implement all those features, you can get a kind of 330 degrees protection with your data. To access the database, we can secure the connection channel between the client side and database with the SSH encryption or SSH plugins. And not only the client side to database, but also just like Ivan shared with the HA features, we sometimes also need to transit data between multiple databases. Those channels also need to be protected, and we can implement SS authentication against those communication channels. And sometimes we need to deal with denial of service cyber attack. We have feature come with the MySQL Enterprise Edition, which is a threat proof. We use a threat proof. We can use a threat proof to extend the capacity, concurrent access capacity. So to some extent, it will remediate the risk from the denial of service attack and with the threat proof plugin. And of course, if you want to protect your data against SQL injection, we have a firewall. You can bring up firewall plugin and set up set of whitelist. Whitelist means that those kind of statement are eligible, are be able to execute, and the rest of the statement that in the list will be rejected by the firewall. So it gives us a kind of very strong protection against the SQL injection access. And sometimes, especially some enterprise level users, want to have kind of a centralized authentication mechanism. They have kind of a AWS server or a Microsoft AD server in their enterprise and want to single sign-on. That means that they are relying on those strong or comprehensive authentication mechanism to authenticate the user and for the database. So we can leverage MySQL Enterprise Authentication plugin and let the user, once the user want to access MySQL database, it will direct the request to the server that you've been assigned and authenticate against the AWS server. And after it been authenticated, you can access the database without just like a regular, just like a normal way. And after you be able after the user be able to pass the authentication, they can access the data. The next topic we need to concern is that what kind of a privilege you should have. So we need to have kind of a comprehensive or fine-grained access control to the database. MySQL access control can be defined not only by the database object itself. You can specify the table, columns, but also you can specify which client are you connected with, and you can specify by different IP address or subnet of your environment, and set up the different privilege to different users from different locations. And as I said, sometimes you need to invite third party to your applications to do some job for you, but your data still have some sensitive data, and you don't want them to be able to access them. you can obfuscate those sensitive data like a credit card number or serial employee or healthcare records of your patients with MySQL Enterprise data masking plugin, or with sometimes we call it the identification plugins, and it will replace part of all the data of those kind of sensitive data and show them in a obfuscated format to those third parties. And in that feature, with this feature, it gives us a kind of a flexibility or comprehensive protection against those sensitive data, while the third party also be able to carry on their job smoothly. And as I said, sometimes you need to trust someone, you need to grant database as administration authority or privilege to some users. With this kind of a high privilege user, sometimes we need to have mechanism to check what operations they have been done, what kind of data they've been accessed. With enterprise auditing of MySQL, we can keep the record, we can track the data access of those kind of high privilege users. And another way is that we keep the access record, but sometimes we have concern that those access record will be tamed or modified by an authorized user or by some just something that some people that have been done something bad. Then if they can access those auditor log, they can modify those data. But however, we can also encrypt those data. So with encrypted data, if you don't have the right access, if you don't have the right key, those data still not be able to change by those kind of unauthorized users. And eventually, the data itself still need to rest on the disk. Sometimes it rests on the table space of the data file, or sometimes even we keep some information in the redo log or undo log. With those kind of data, if we don't encrypt them, if we don't protect those data file, if people have enough privilege on the operating system, they can copy up all the data directory and to install to install in another database instance. So it will generate kind of a security issue for that. But we have a data encryption features. We can use TDE, which means transparent data encryption, to increase those data file. And those people, if those people if those people access those data file without the proper key, without right key, they still not be able to read all the data. The data still not be able to load into the database instance. And to be remembered, sometimes we forget one most important part is that eventually we need to back up our database. Sometimes we forget to protect those backup set, and sometimes we need require that the backup set need to be to copy into the portable device like a tab or even USB, and store on somewhere. Some kind of a FSI regulation require the FIS user to have this kind of a way to protect the backup. So if those backup be fetched by those backup set be fetched by an authorized user, they can still recover all the data to another instance. So there's still kind of data leak issues with those backup set. But with MySQL Enterprise Backup, we can encrypt those data. We can encrypt those backup set. if the user access those backup set without without a right key, there's no way to recover the database from those backup set. So this is a way that we should be taking care of that. And as you know, there are so many things we need to encrypt. We need to increase the data file. We need to increase some sensitive data or backup set. So to have the key is the very important things. So we need to have kind of a key vault system to help us to protect the key, protect the encryption key. At the same time, we also need to, to change the key. We need to do some key rotations. So we need to rely on some key vault solution. Of course, MySQL itself does not have key vault products or any kind of key vault feature, but we have a kind of a key vault API. Let us be able to access key vault from MySQL and store the keys that retrieve from those key vault system into MySQL database, and use those keys to encrypt the data. And of course, HA should be the most important, should be ultimate ways to protect the data, because sometimes we are facing cyber attack, and if we have multiple copies with the database, we can survive from the cyber, the most serious cyber attack, and we can fail to the backup database or to the SLAP database with that. So as Ivan must show you that we have very comprehensive HA architecture like InnoDB cluster. Let us have many copies of the database, and to protect us against this kind of such a denial of service attack. And for DBA, there's one tool let us manage the data. Let us manage the security of the database very easily, which is MySQL Workbench. We can use MySQL Workbench to define the user and grant the privilege to the user with a kind of graph interface, which is very easy to use. And we can use MySQL Workbench to access the auditor data and to basically auditor log basically is kind of XML based format. It's not easy to read, but with Workbench, it will shows the clear text of those data stored in the audio log for us, and we can manipulate those audio log with MySQL Workbench. Just for example, if we can have kind of audio log rotation, which will generate another log file, and to do some operation against the log files. And last thing is that is if we cannot monitor the database, there's no way to improve. There's no way to even we have a very strong security features come with the database, but if we cannot monitor it, if we don't know what happened with the database, there's still kind of a potential risk with this database. So be able to monitor it, be able to send an alarm to the DBA once there's some data breach or someone use the database illegally or some change against your sensitive data is very important. MySQL Enterprise Monitor let us have a feature to do that. MySQL Enterprise Monitor will proactively monitor the data or monitor the operation of the database. And if there's kind of for say the schema change or any kind of user without a right password or any kind of a secure breach, it will proactively send an alarm to the DBA. So our DBA can do something against those kind of a secure breach timely, and we can improve those kind of secure protection against for kind of long run. Basically, this is what we've been offered with the current MySQL feature. And I think MySQL is kind of a ecosystem. It's kind of a database, or it's kind of a product. It evolves continuously. For each new release, we have something. We have some very important feature, some significant feature add on top of it. Of course, with MySQL 8.0, we also have a whole bunch of new features come with the database. For say, if you want to protect, as I said, if you want to protect the communication channel between the client side and database, you can use SSL. With MySQL 8.0, we support the latest SSL technology, which is TSL 1.3, and we replace the SSL module from YA SSL to Open SSL, which is the most much comprehensive or much powerful SSL module than it used to be. And with 8.0, we can have kind of SSL option dynamic. That means we can change the certification. We can change the certificates of the database without restart the database. Before 5.7, when we change the when we change the certification, we need to restart the database. But with 5.0, we no longer restart that. We no longer need to restart that. And for data encryption, actually, TD come with 5.7, but at 5.7, we can only encrypt data file itself, the table space of the data file of the table space itself. But there's still some information or some data stored in some log, like redo log, endo log, or even binary log. And sometimes the general table space will also store some important information like a data dictionary. With 8.0, all those data files include redo log, endo log, binary log, all can be encrypted, all can be encrypted by encrypt plugin and by TD plugins. And we also use the latest algorithm to encrypt the data. We use AES 256 encryption algorithm to encrypt the endo log or redo log. The ways should be quite easy. We just set InnoDB endo log encrypt equals on or off to switch on, switch off the encryption function against those logs. And for access control, we add many features. Those features not only be able to access by enterprise edition, but it also available for most of the community edition. The first one is we have one more port come with the database. Not only the quite famous port number is 3306. Sometimes we have this kind of experience that if something wrong with the database, the number of concurrent connection were extended very quickly, and it will reach to the limitation of max connection. For say by default 500 max connections number. Once it reaches the connection limits, no one be able to connect it anymore. Even you have a DBA privilege. But with the 5.0, we have one more port we call admin port. By default, it is 33061. It is not for regular user. It is for DBA. So once the max connection has been reached, you can steal the admin port to log into the database. If you have the DBA right, if you have service connect admin privilege, you can do something against your database. to save your database instance instead of shut down the database. Now, if you don't have this kind of admin pool, what you can do just only shut down the database and rebound it again. It will impact the availability of the database. And we offer one privilege we call sys user privilege, which is kind of a privilege belong to the DBA. Once the any user owns the sys user privilege, they can do they should have a very powerful privilege with it, and the rest of the user cannot change the sys user, cannot change the user's profile with sys user privilege. It let us have kind of a easy way to grant the privilege to the DBA. I think this should be one of the most important feature come with 8.0. Because MySQL do not have a concept of database ownership or schema ownership. So once you grant a high privilege to users or DBA related privilege to user, the user probably can do anything against the user data. Now we can have a partial revokes features. That means if you have a user with a DBA privilege, but you can still revoke certain schema access from that DBA users. That means the DBA user can do pretty much everything. They can backup the data. They can configure InnoDB class configuration, but they cannot access the schema that you've been specified. So it will protect the DBA to access those application data and authorize them. And we can have a auto-generated password. Before 5.80, the DBA, if the DBA create a user, he need to specify password. But sometimes DBA just lazy, just use just use 1, 2, 3, 4 as a password. So eventually you create some kind of a security breach to the database. Now we can have a feature we call a random password. You can create a user and specify identified by random password. The database will generate a random password for the users, and you can also request the user to change the password once the user log into the database first time. And you can also specify how many days the password can exist for those users. Once the user did not log in to the database for certain days, the password will be expired. And for password protection, the password stored in some place or in the database are equipped with a SHA algorithm. But before 5.0, we use a SHA-1 encryption algorithm, which is not good, which is not complicated enough, will be easily break by some powerful computer. Now we suppose SHA-2, and not only SHA-2 but also catch SHA-2. That means you can catch the sharded data in the memory, so it will improve the security, but at the same time, it will also help you to maintain the performance, because once you've been sharded and keep the shard data in the memory, you don't need to shard again for another access. So you don't need to spend resource and spend time to shard the database, to shard your password again. So it will increase our performance to some extent. And sometimes we have this kind of feeling, it is not easy for us to change the password. Once we need to change the password, we need to take care of the application size, because sometimes application size store the data, or application size store the password even. And we need to have kind of propagation feature to help us to change the password. Nowadays, we can have a kind of interim process or interim period when we change the password, we can specify that we can retain the password, retain the current password. So we can have a double password. We can have old password. We can have new password. The old password still be able to access the database while we're still in the interim period. And after a period of time, we can discard the old password and let the new password, become in effect solely. And of course, we sometimes need to specify some password policy. We need to enforce the password the strength of the password to indicate that the password need to have a capitalized number or some special character in the password, and at least for certain lengths, at least we need to have the password need to have a 12 character, something like that. We can use MySQL password validation plugin to validate against the password. So, and we can also use the plugin to specify the expiration date of the certain password, or specify after the password being used for 3 months, they need to change it. And we can specify some kind of rule to enforce the password of the database. And of course, sometimes you need to protect your database against brute force attacks that use kind of a software or use kind of mechanism to try your password. So you can specify how many times you can how many times the login, the password can be, how many failure times the password can have. For say, you can say only allow retry 3 times. After 3 times, the account will be locked. The password will be no longer to be used. This is a new feature coming with 8.0, which has been requested quite a long time. Now we have a role come with MySQL 8.0. You can use a role to collect all the required privileges and grant a role to the certain users. So that means that your DBA will have much easier, will do their job much easier when the user, when a new user come into the system, or when some kind of a privilege has been changed. And for users need to rely on centralized authentication mechanism, we have a plugin we call Enterprise Authentication Plugin. That is to integrate with third-party authentication solution like AD server, Microsoft AD server, and they can help us to do single sign against the database. And with this kind of features, we can have a centralized management with a password policy, or centralized management with a user. Once a user comes to your enterprise, you just need to define the user in the AD server or centralized authentication mechanism. And if they want to access the database, they can leverage those kind of AD servers to authenticate against the database. And what we do is, once the client side want to access the database will, the authentication plugin will redirect the access to the AD server or any kind of a configured centralized authentication mechanism. And once it is certified with the AD server, it will store a token or use a SARSO protocol and store and let the application be able to access the database directly, just like a single sign, just what we do with a single sign. And that's why it's the data mask scheme. If you want to invite third party to work on your database, but you have some sensitive data you need to protect those sensitive data against those third parties. And we offer kind of data masking plugin. You can hide some kind of sensitive data or replace this kind of sensitive data into kind of a different way. And you can use those kind of data masking function and create a view for those that include those encryption function, data masking function, and grant those field to your user, that the user be able to access those data smoothly. But when they see those sensitive data, it is not real. It is just kind of obfuscated data. Those data include email address, payment card or credit card, or social security number, or you can randomly generate, for say the salary of your employee. You can use the random generate data for that. For those kind of sometimes we need to have kind of even it is obfuscated, for say the credit card information is obfuscated, but we still let those kind of obfuscated data be able to pass the validation on the application side, pass the credit card validation on the client side. So we implement those kind of obfuscated function with data masking. Let us be able to carry on those things. But with this kind of rule, it is different country, different regulation have different kind of requirement for this kind of validation rule. So if you have a specified rule in Hong Kong, I think this is time for you to submit your request or show us your requirement about how to obfuscate the data and be able to pass some kind of a validation rule of your applications. And sometimes also we can also support use a data dictionary to replace the data, and we can create a data dictionary to show that if this data come in, we will replace with another data. For say if there's a data dictionary called job mask, actually they can have simultaneously have multiple data dictionary against their database. For say their database, their data dictionary we call job mask. If the job code comes with 00, 07, and it will replace the 07 with a content for the rest of the rest of the data with not in the data dictionary blacklist, it will not replace it. Just administration, it just show administration for you. And for those powerful user, we can use auditor plugin to track the user. Basically, the auditor plugin is kind of an XML-based format. Now we can support JSON format, and it can also be compressed, and also be able to encrypt those data. And I think you already see that there are so many things need to be encrypted, and the key vault should be very important. With the latest 8.0, we support one more key vault system, which is called HashCrop key vault. The key vault system store or keep the key in their memory, and it passes the keys through HTTPS protocol, which is encrypted, to the consumer of the application. Maybe one of the computers is MySQL database, and the MySQL database has a keyword plugin to access those key and stored in a safe security area, safe area of their memory, and use that memory to encrypt those data. And this is what we have been done. Of course, we other than hashing crop, we also support Oracle key vault system or Gemeto or some kind of keyboard system that comply with the K and IP protocols. Okay, pretty much this is all what I want to share. So with this kind of feature, I think you can feel that we can have a very comprehensive protection against the MySQL database. So if you are interested in more detail of MySQL security, I think you can visit those websites, and it will show you more about what we have been done with MySQL security. Okay, this is what I'm going to share. Thank you very much. Back to you. Okay. Hello.
在。
是。
是啊，刚刚没开这个麦克风啊。
OK。
周在吗？周。